Well, hey, what's up? Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well, and I'm excited to have a great stream with you. Really looking forward to it. I just want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in earlier to my interview with Jennifer Coffindaffer. I hope you really enjoyed that. That was incredible, wasn't it? I can't believe that she joined us, and I felt like we definitely had a great conversation, and she brought out a lot of questions and things that I've been thinking about involving this case in this situation. And so I want to talk about that a little bit later. And there's some more questions that I have after I had my conversation with her. And I think there's some things that she was hinting at, but wasn't necessarily able to say. And so I found that interesting. And so if you guys were on there, maybe you know some of the stuff that I'm talking about. And so Kim's going to call in just a little bit, and we're going to talk about that. And listen, I'm excited. I'm excited about that. And we also talked about the Lena Keel case. So thank you guys so much for being so supportive of everything that we're doing here. I want to shout out Anita. I got a letter in the mail today that Anita sent like weeks ago, and I saw Evelyn had made a comment about the book. Evelyn, I mailed you your book. I'll double check just to make sure it wasn't one of the ones. I had 4 books that got returned to me, and so I'll double check that yours wasn't one of the ones that got returned to me, but it might just be slow getting there now after after this situation happened, like with that letter that I just got today that was sent to me several weeks ago. But I know as a fact I sent it out. And either way, I'll try to make sure that I get you a book as soon as possible. And send me your email, and I'll send you the digital versions of the book like right away. I'll send that to you today, just to make sure you can have at least that. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, and just really excited about the stream. I'm back in Nashville, Tennessee. Last night when I came on, I was doing a television appearance in Atlanta, Georgia, and so I had to wake up early this morning, and I flew here today, really just in time to get a little bit of rest, and then jump into that interview preparation and to jump into that interview with Jennifer Coffindaffer earlier. So I thought that was great. And I know our normal audience wasn't totally there, but we had a pretty good showing considering it was at an abnormal time. So that was just really great to be able to do that. And as you guys are tuning into the stream, a couple things I want to let you know about. One is one of the best ways to help us out is just by hitting the like button on this video. That helps out more than you really know. And it's a small thing that you can do. And if you're going to sit here and watch it, you might as well just hit the like button. The average view time is like 23 minutes. And so I know we have a rotation of people, but if you watch something for 23 minutes, you pretty much like it. You might not agree with everything that's being said, but if you didn't like it, you wouldn't be on here for 23 minutes. So I just want to encourage you to hit that like button. And then I don't know why, but my channel was like growing really fast. And then it's been growing like very slow the past month. And I think it has something to do weird with YouTube. So if you can help me get past the 39,000 subscribers into 40,000 subscribers, I think it's going to really make a difference. And so if you guys don't mind, if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That helps out just so much. I think once I make it past a certain hurdle, I'm going to start growing at a faster rate again. And so today I've grown like 50 subscribers, and I think that's due in part to what happened with Jennifer Coffindaffer earlier. So that was really great. I want to shout out Michelle. Michelle, thank you so much for becoming a part of the Feller fam today. Wonderful. I love it whenever we have people who are part of the community joining the Feller fam. Unbelievable. Thank you so much for joining. And listen, if you haven't made a decision to be part of the Feller fam, I want to encourage you to do that. It'd be unbelievable, just a way to help us out and support the channel and be a part of our community. There's some perks to it, but it's much better to be a part of this community and support it in that way. So without further ado, something I love doing every night, even though people who are on the rewatch hate it, I want to know where you are watching from. Where is it that you are tuning in from? And like I said, I'm coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. I saw somebody earlier that was saying they were watching from Puerto Rico. I want to go there. I heard the sushi there's really good. So I want to go there. I got some sushi at the airport yesterday. Yesterday. That was a very bad decision. I've never thrown food away before because I have a bad problem where like I will never waste money on food. But it was really bad, and I didn't want to get sick, so I threw it away. I could just taste. It's like something's weird about this, so I went ahead and threw it away. But I heard in Puerto Rico they have really good sushi, so I want to go there, try the sushi. Jennifer, St. Louis. The arch is kind of scary. I've been inside of that a few times. That little tiny elevator they send you up in. Clovis, California, Spokane, Washington, Indiana. Hello from Wisconsin, Texas, Toronto, Canada, Pennsylvania, Pueblo, Colorado, Indiana, Pentigo, Texas, Outback in the Oregon, Kentucky in the house, Australia, California. Great to see you guys tuning in. New York, Massachusetts, Idaho, Pennsylvania, United Kingdom, Upper Michigan, Blacksburg, South Carolina, Las Vegas. And listen, I love knowing where you're from, and that's really great. And it's amazing for me to see that. But it also blows my mind every single time that I get on here that somehow like we've developed this sense of technology where we can come on a video like this and literally people from all of the world, all at the same time, are watching it together. There's something really magical and powerful about that to me. And so I really love this portion of our show where it's like, it blows my mind. Here we have hundreds and hundreds of people from all different walks of life, from all around the world, coming together for like an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours to really focus and be united on certain topics. Like, that's mind-blowing to me. And there's something really powerful and magical about that. And taking this little bit of time to say, hey, this is where we're watching from, it's just unbelievable. So Ohio, Illinois, Clovis, Fort Myers, Ohio, Indiana. Love you, Tyler, California, Georgia. I'm going to be in California next week, actually. Garland, Texas, Las Vegas, Nevada. I have a meeting that I'm going to. Virginia Beach, Boca Raton, Florida, another California. Airport sushi. Yeah, don't do it. It's a bad decision. I know. I've learned the hard way. I threw it away and I went and got Chick-fil-A, which is a much safer bet. Tennessee, North Carolina, Las Vegas. Great having you guys. Winsboro, Texas, West Virginia, Ontario, Shelly from Texas, Ohio. Michelle says, love sushi. Other Michelle, 2 Michelles in a row love sushi. So if I get one more Michelle, I'm going to think all Michelles love sushi. United Kingdom, Lakewood, Ohio, Washington State, Michigan, Chicago, Atlanta, Georgia, Brisbane, Australia. Brisbane, right? That's probably how you pronounce it. Brisbane, St. Louis, Texas, Northern Ireland, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Windsor, California. Hey, Hotspot, tuning in from Kansas. Great having you guys. Kansas. Great having you guys tuning in from all over the place. And wow, what a great night. I want to shout out too. Earlier today, Renee sent over a gift on the Cash App. Renee Anderson, thank you so much, Renee, for thinking about me. John sent over a gift on Cash App. Thank you guys for sending gifts over on Cash App too. I really like Cash App because I have like a little debit card that goes with the Cash App. It's really cool. So anyways, all the little things like that are super appreciated. I feel it. And thank you so much for doing that. Florida Keys. I went to the Florida Keys during Thanksgiving. It was so fun. Okay. This is breaking news from Northport. And I'm not going to try to read too much into it, but as we sort of think about this and realize everything that came to light recently with the Moab report, as I read this story to you that's breaking today out of Northport, breaking in the past couple of minutes out of Northport, tell me what comes to your mind, okay? Remember Northport, Florida, home of Brian Laundrie, where Brian and Gabby both lived with his parents. The city of Northport is investigating suspicious activity on its network and possible hack. The city of Northport and the Northport police are investigating a possible hack of the city's network. Police are still investigating and do not know to the extent of the potential system compromise yet. Northport Police Department Public Information Officer Josh Taylor confirmed that the recent city phone line outages earlier this week are related to the possible hack. So the city lost their phone infrastructure last week because somebody hacked into the system. Josh Taylor, who we're all familiar with because of his public service announcements about what was going on in the Laundrie case, says this: the city of Northport recently detected suspicious activity in its network environment. Upon discovery, we promptly initiated an investigation and notified law enforcement. Now, aren't they law enforcement? Like, as I read that, That's one of the things that I thought of. I'm like, they are the law enforcement. Who they call themselves? They call 911. It goes to themselves. So we're currently investigating the situation to determine the nature and scope of this event. As our investigation into this matter is ongoing, we will continue to monitor our systems and work to resolve this matter safely and securely. Certain systems and services may be offline for a time while we work to resolve the issues. All life and safety issues are fully functional. There's no danger to the public. So, when you think about people hacking into the city of Northport's police department, the city of Northport, what do you think? What comes to your mind? I wouldn't be surprised if there were very smart people who were intrigued by the Gabby and Brian case that, for whatever reason, made a decision to figure out if they could get some insight or intel by hacking into the system. Ms. Kelly says people want answers. That's exactly what I thought of. Like, I don't think people just randomly try to hack into a city's infrastructure. So I would not be surprised if it's somebody who's wanting to know information about this case, and the lack of information that we know at this point, especially now feeling more intrigued by the lack of information after the Moab report was released. I would not be surprised one bit if people hacked into the city because they wanted information. Would you? Are you surprised by that? I'm not saying that that's what's happened, but I can't believe the entire city's phone lines went down. Not that very many people use hardwired phones in their house anymore. I know some people do, but most of the time, people don't. So, by the way, I'm going to put the link in the stream. If any of you guys want to call in at any point, love to have you call in tonight. Go ahead and pin it in the chat. Other breaking news that this is just happening. There's 2 people that are trapped in this trench collapse, and I just wanted us to know what was going on. So if we needed to pray for them and think about them, I wanted to show it to you.
A trench collapse in Powell, leaving 2 people trapped. First responders have been on scene for close to 5 hours now, working to free the 2 workers.
That's right. You know, we first told you about this in midday. 6 on Your Side's Kristen Gallant has been monitoring the situation for us. She joins us now live from the scene. So, Kristen, what do we know so far?
Elizabeth, a spokesperson with Rural Metro, was saying earlier that they thought they were just minutes away from getting at least one of these men out of this trench, but now that timeline has been moved back up to about 2 hours. We're not really sure what exactly made them move that timeline back up. It could be the possibility of a second trench collapse, but they're not quite sure what happened. Once both men are rescued, they will be transported to UT Medical Center by Lifestar. Again, 2 men are stuck in this 15-foot trench at the moment. First responders have been working to get these 2 people out of a 15-foot trench since about 11 o'clock this morning. The challenge here is that the soil is so wet at the site that they have to be careful not to cause the second collapse while trying to get these people out. Rural Metro says they've been having to use hand tools and specific trucks to move this dirt.
The biggest thing that's been a bonus or a big help on this incident is these back trucks that you've seen. They are huge shot back type trucks, if you will. One is from the county, and I believe one is from the city. And they've been able to get close enough to be able to, instead of moving dirt with buckets, they've been able to stick that huge hose over in the hole where it's shoring up and use that machine, which has worked much, much faster.
Now, initially, they thought this rescue may go late into the night, and that still may be the case. Again, both men are still trapped under that dirt. They're working to set up lights for these responders to go into the night and work to get these people out. Now, they have made enough contact with both men to start IVs, but again, they are still stuck in this trench. Now, officers are asking people to stay away from this area in the East Beaver Creek Drive area in Powell as they work to get these men out. We will continue to update you guys as we receive more information, guys.
All right, Kristen.
So if you're wondering where that's at, that's right outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. And so we're just gonna say like just a little prayer for them. So Father, we just pray for this group of people who are trapped, these two people who are trapped in this trench line. And I just bless them right now in Jesus' name, that you'd get them out safely. Amen. Donna S., thank you for becoming a YouTube member. You joined Michelle and the Feller fam today. So what up, Donna S.? What up, Michelle? Thank you guys for joining the Feller fam. Thank you for supporting the channel in that way. Promise you're going to love it. Hey, Kim.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing great, actually, compared to how I felt the past few days.
Yeah, that's great.
So much, much, much better. Yay.
So just so people know, Keith and Kim had to bring me something at my hotel last night after midnight. They drove many miles to come and do that. So thank you so much for doing that. It feels weird now that I'm all the way in Nashville, like, and you know what I mean? The way that society is so weird, but thank you again for doing that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And everybody who's worried about COVID, I waved from a distance, and Keith and Tyler talked. So that was amazing, Jennifer, her interview today. That was so great. She's so smart and just kind and articulate. And it was so fantastic listening to her opinion about everything. I'm not sure she didn't generate a few more questions.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So I felt like there were some things that sort of came out from the interview with her that made me sort of be like, is there more to the story of this? So if you look at this interview, I don't know exactly where the time spot was, but let me see if I can just find it real fast. I'm thinking about the 9mm thing.
To be the right thing.
I found another thing very interesting from a previous statement. We know the female park ranger that was. Do you know where it was at? I don't know where it was at.
I think it was before that, because I think it was one of the first questions you asked her, and then she said that was one of the questions that she had.
Ended up the same way. We just don't know, because maybe Gabby would have called her parents. Sir, when you're an age, you run across mental health crisis. I don't think they would go out on a limb like that if they had any evidence.
Okay, it's right around here. After, maybe one day after this little spat between Gabby and Brian involving Kylan and Crystal, we know that the caliber of weapon used on them was a 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it out of the stretch of imagination?
Parents had advanced copies.
Okay, because he made some. The only way that would make sense would be if I'm sorry, I'm doing this, guys. It was lying about it, right? And for whatever reason, I don't know why she would be doing that, but it just doesn't add up in my book as I'm sort of walking through it. And then talk about the caliber of the gun.
Okay, yep.
Okay, this is where I thought it was very interesting. By the way, Happy Caffeinated Couple says, friends, let's help get this channel up to 40K subs. I agree. Come on. I know you're watching and you're not subscribed. Just hit that button. And thank you so much for that super chat. It actually means a whole lot. Happy Caffeinated Couple. And sorry I couldn't or didn't put your super chat on the stream earlier when Jennifer was on. But I saw it and I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for your support. So this 9mm thing was like.
She talks about it here, but then she also, remember when I asked her about if she knew anything or if there was anything said about why he went home, that's when she said something too that was kind of interesting. She said, I don't buy why he said he went home, but I think he had to go back and get something that you could carry in a suitcase, but not buy in Walmart.
Yeah, let me play this part first, and then let's talk about this, and then let's try to find that Walmart thing.
Okay.
Somebody says I'm seeing double Tylers. I didn't think about that. There I am, and there I am. That's funny.
So I say that because that is one piece that I that I would like to know. I would like to know the caliber of the gun missing from the laundry gun collection, because I do believe that that is the gun that Brian Laundrie likely used to commit suicide.
Okay. So why do you think she wanted to know the caliber of the gun so importantly?
Well,
I thought of two things. I thought of the thing they found in Fort DeSoto, and I thought of Kylan and Crystal.
Oh, I didn't even think about the Fort DeSoto, but now that might be why, because if that was the gun that they found in Fort DeSoto, that would mean that somebody knew that he had killed himself earlier, had retrieved the gun, and had sunk the gun.
Oh.
So that would kind of give credence to the
Then
idea.
maybe would know where his body was at inside of the Carlton Reserve.
Or that possibly, you know how we had talked about maybe Chris found him. I mean, we just briefly kind of talked about that. Some of us, you know, maybe they found him and Bertolino had said, let the police find him because that'll, you know, look better. If that was the gun that was sunk in Fort DeSoto, that would end. It was the same gun that killed him. That would have meant that somebody found his body and the gun, took the gun, and sunk the gun. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I instantly thought of Bertolino saying that he had a conversation with Brian Laundrie on the 11th and the 12th. But then I instantly thought of another lawyer I saw in an interview about the Brian and Gabby case who said lawyers are allowed to lie.
That's true. So,
and I don't know if the gun that was found in Fort DeSoto was a 9mm or not. I'll Google it.
I think it was, but I don't know for sure either. But while you're Googling that, I'll tell you my other thought was, did she think, like, you remember back when you first asked Jennifer, like not this time, but before that, and you were asking her if she thought, you know, that Brian could be involved in Kylan and Crystal. And she said, I trust law enforcement, so I'm always going to support what the official narrative is. So even though she said the gun, I think it was the gun that Brian committed suicide with, if that wasn't a 9mm, for instance, if that was a 9mm that was gone, but not a 9mm that he committed suicide with, where was that gun? You know, and how did he shoot himself, or was he shot? You know, I mean, those are just none of those answers. That's all pure speculation. I know our other mods like to make sure we said that. So that's pure speculation. I'm just kind of hypothesizing the different reasons why she might be interested in that gun and knowing what caliber it is so much.
It looks like a .22 revolver to me.
Okay.
So like a handheld revolver, .22 pistol. So I don't think it was a 9mm, the one that was found in Fort DeSoto. So I don't know.
But it is very interesting that she is that she said she's so intrigued by that gun.
I know, and for the life of me, so initially whenever I had the conversation with her coming on again, it was because I had responded to something that she had said about Kylan and Crystal on Twitter, which is now deleted. I can't find it. I'm not gonna say it's deleted. I didn't try that hard to look for it, so it might still be on there. But I was like, we had just had this conversation about Kylan and Crystal, and so I thought I was leading her into that. And then when she didn't jump into it, I just sort of outright came and said it. And I don't know why, for the life of me, I just didn't say why is that 9mm so important to you?
Yeah. Well, you know, even when
I guess I can text her and ask her, but I feel weird doing that.
Even when you said point blank, do you think he was involved with Kylan and Crystal? Her professionalism is not going to allow her to really speculate that heavily, I don't think, because she is so professional. I think that's one of the things that we all really respected about her in that whole interview, is that she's so professional and she only says what she knows. And if she is speculating, she makes it very clear that she doesn't really like to speculate. But even when you asked her that, I noticed, or it felt like I noticed, a little bit of, this is what the official story is, and they seem pretty convinced, so I'm going to trust that they're telling the truth.
Let me play part of it, because I'm almost there in this interview. Let me see if I can find it real fast.
And I want to know what that caliber is for multiple reasons. And that has not been disclosed. But we know Mr. Bertolino knows, but he is not disclosing.
Was Bertolino given an advance copy of this report?
That he is not involved. They have basically
little spat between Gabby and Brian involving Kylan and Crystal. So this is when I say, did Brian do this to Kylan and Crystal?
Mm-hmm.
So this is her account. We know that the caliber of weapon used on them was a 9mm.
Mm-hmm.
Is it out of the stretch of imagination that Brian Laundrie would have been involved in that case? And I tried to word it like that. Is it out of the stretch of imagination? Because I wanted her to feel the freedom to
to kind of extrapolate or speculate a little bit.
Yeah. So let's see how she responds though.
So initially, I looked pretty deep into that. And I believe, based on the statements made by law enforcement there, that he is not involved. They have basically unequivocally said that he is not involved. I don't think they would go out on a limb like that if they had any evidence. My understanding was that it was based on timing, that he wasn't there when it occurred, physically speaking. That's what I recall. But I can tell you, and I've actually posted this, they're very adamant that he is not involved. And I have to defer to them because they have the most evidence.
So that's what you're mentioning, right? By the way, Sheila, thank you so much for that super chat. You said, thank you, Tyler. It feels good to be appreciated. Doesn't it, Kim, like that whenever it's actually, I work hard on these videos and on this channel. So thank you for thanking me, Sheila. Thank you for your super chat. But that's the point that you were making, right?
Yeah, that she's only going to, and I don't even know that she necessarily has any doubt. I think she is just such a seasoned investigator that until evidence points otherwise, she kind of goes with the simplest answer, and I guess the official answer is the truth, unless something comes about that tells her otherwise. But that's kind of, I just sense she was very careful with her words, in my opinion.
I'm impressed with, I've watched her in several interviews. I'm impressed with how you can give her a multi-layered question and she point by point goes through it. Like most people run off with the one little part of it that they feel most comfortable with. And I'm learning to do that better, try to be more intentional about that. That's something I've noticed about her. For example, when you called in and gave her a question, she said first, second, but then let me get back to that first part of your question. What was that again? So I thought that was powerful. But whenever she was talking about this, it was great in the fact of when she said, I want to know that for a variety of reasons. And then she had a little grin on her. Maybe I hope we're not like over analyzing this, but she had a little grin on her face when she said, but Bertolino knows.
Yeah. There's the only other thing, I keep going back to is, did they know that Brian killed himself sooner? And Bertolino said, let law enforcement find him, and then there was the flood. And a lot of people are saying, I can't imagine leaving my kid out there. I can't either. I can't imagine that either, but I'm just trying to kind of grasp at straws. Like, why would that be so important to her? If she made the statement, I think that was the gun he killed himself with. So she thinks he killed himself. That seems to be clear. But why would it matter if it were that gun, unless that gun, remember, that gun was reported missing by Chris. It didn't get a lot of news coverage, but way back in the beginning, like, people thought that he didn't report it. But remember, I told you, I read that way back in the beginning. And I think Mickey in here had found that clip.
Mickey's on. Do you want me to put her up here? You can
ask. Yeah. Because I really think she found that clip.
Hey, Mickey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. Could you hear me?
Yep.
My mic on.
Did you find a clip?
Mickey, didn't you find a clip where Chris had actually...
Yeah, and the funny part was I saw one article, I read one article. I figured that article wasn't a reliable source. It's one of these, news places that I really didn't hear of. So I started going through the clips of stuff. So when I went to find the original, because I had saved it, and I went to go click on it, all of a sudden it says, like, it cannot be found, 401 error, and it wasn't there anymore. And I remember reading it and I remember hearing it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of strange. I thought I read this, and I kept looking for it and looking for it after that, and I could not find it. But I did find a small article, but it wasn't someone that I would say is a very reliable media. And they might be, it might be some media from some other state that I'm just not aware of. But I think
Yeah.
I sent you that one.
Yeah, you did. And yeah, that's why I was pretty sure that you had sent. And Lexi said he did report it early. I remember it was really, it was Chris said, okay, there's a gun missing from the collection very early on, but then it just kind of disappeared. And,
Right.
so it's just very strange that maybe that's why Jennifer's so fixated on it. What are your
It
thoughts,
might.
Mickey?
Well, I was just thinking they didn't want that out there because so many people were out there looking for him. So,
To
and
think
I
that
guess
he
they
had a
didn't
gun.
want to, yeah, there was a gun out there because they said, oh, well, the police decided because there's people in front of their house. They were shouting at them. They couldn't leave their house. I mean, I can't even imagine being in their steps. And then, there are people out there searching and and trying to get everything. And, what if they ran into him somewhere? Did
True.
anyone ever think? But they didn't feel that he was a danger to anyone else. So I
Mhm.
feel that's why they kind of said, okay, we're not going to let the public know about this.
Yeah.
Um,
Good point.
Another thing is about them, the Northport police being hacked and stuff. It's not the first time. If you guys recall back, I think it was 2016 when we had a big FBI leak and they arrested a boy in the UK who was 16 years old. The cooperation with the FBI and the leadership of the uh, and it was just several of them. I guess they were in UK and then someone in the US, but I guess it was the boy who got into the FBI base and police base, and basically he did it for fun. He wanted to know if he could do it. He released FBI agents emails, addresses, everything. And
That's
if you're
frightening.
undercover FBI agent or special agent or a police officer that's working undercover and stuff, and now your information's everywhere. So that was a big story. So now when I hear it, to me, they don't not necessarily have to do with this case, but they're like, oh, well, let's find out. They get curious. They want to know, you know, but they also do it just to see if they could.
Yeah.
That's how I see hackers. And a lot of times there are younger adults or younger teens that are just really into that. Well, this whole case was strange, and just the interview with her, like you said, she's very professional. She doesn't want to say something unless it's out there. She kind of confirmed, like, well, they should have arrested Gabby, even though we all saw that she, could, she's a victim. But at that point, he was the victim. So
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
think
and
it could have changed anything because they could have said, we don't want to do charges against each other. They probably would have released her. Or she would have got bond out. Because remember, it's COVID times. They were doing things online for court.
Yeah, it could have been worse. I Jennifer really kind of opened my eyes. I knew that the police really, tried to a certain extent, but she really opened my eyes to the fact today that had it had it been, cut and dry, and had they taken Gabby in, I don't think it would have made any difference either. But the fact that they realized that Brian was the problem in the relationship, but in this legal scenario, they would have had to punish Gabby. I think they really tried so hard. She said something and it really stuck with me. She said, I think that they almost tried too hard and it backfired.
Let me try to find it. Christina sent a super sticker. Thank you, Christina, for doing that. And Rebecca says this in a super chat. The Fort DeSoto gun was an old revolver last sold on February 4th, 1969. Chris had a collection, meaning older guns, so it might be the gun. That's a good point, Rebecca. I didn't think about what the word collection meant.
And I mentioned something.
And by the way, Rebecca, thank you so much for that super chat. Thank you for supporting the channel in that way.
I'm just curious, like, you know, when they released how she died, and I know they all said it's strangulation and stuff. And they, you know, a lot of times they'll do a release. Okay, they died from this, but there's also other reasons they might have died. So they could have kept, maybe she was shot too. We don't know.
Tyler and I texted about this today. Remember, I said, well, maybe Gabby, you know, we know her cause of death, but maybe she was also shot. And maybe Jennifer was implying about the Walmart quote that Brian had gone back to get the gun, which would then change it from a crime of passion to a crime of premeditation.
I mean, it does make a difference. Michelle Mendel says, Tyler, how can I purchase 4 of your books for my friends? Thank you for your faith that draws us closer to the Lord. Michelle, the best way to purchase the book is on Amazon, and I just put the link in the chat. Thank you so much for your super chat. It means a whole lot to have your support. And yeah, thank you. Kim, you're bringing up some great points about the premeditation thing. And as I'm sort of looking into that, I don't know where that, do you know?
At the end, because it was when I was asking the questions and she was answering me, she said about him flying home that she thinks, yeah. So it was right after I came on, asked my 3 questions. Then she answered first about the FBI agents. Then she went back. The very last question she answered was that one where she mentioned the Walmart thing.
And then Jane Doe is on News Nation. And yes, I wanted to touch on that. So
right here,
whenever we conduct investigations, and I can tell you, I did this with every interview I ever did. At the end of the interview, I would ask the person.
No, maybe it's right before this. Before this?
Do not talk.
I don't know, but I'm just looking at my face in this. I don't ever get to see myself. Look at me. Oh, what the heck? That's so funny. Is that what I look like most of the time?
No.
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 I'm like, what is going on? I just like happen to look up and that's what I see. Well, her answer to you is only like a minute or 2 minutes. Yeah. So let's just keep listening to it. But I just happen to see my own face, which I'm not used to doing. You guys are the ones who see my face. And that's just really made me start laughing when I saw it.
Talk outside of this conversation. Please don't talk about what we discussed. And let me tell you why. Whenever you get into court, and I understand this isn't going to court. I think
it's before this.
For obvious reasons.
Okay, let me rewind a little bit.
I think it was the second question she answered of mine. It seemed like nobody wanted to talk to him. It just amazes me how so many people, they were able to keep so many people quiet because nobody, the hotel wouldn't talk to him, the Mary Piglet, nobody anywhere would give him any information. And then that leads to my third part is, why do you think there is so much secrecy? I think that's one of the things that is stoking all the social media rumors and everything. This case just seems to have a lot of secrecy.
Right. So let me respond to a couple of things. First of all, in any FBI investigation, we are sworn to keep secret. Mm-hmm. Any ongoing investigation should never be discussed with your spouse.
I'm having a hard time knowing which is past, the ghost of Kim past and the ghost of Kim present.
House, with your mom, with certainly not the media. There was actually on one of the squads a red shoe. And if anybody even accidentally said something to the media, you know, if they were asked, hey, how long are you going to be out here? And you just said, oh, we'll probably be here for another 3 hours. Red shoe award. You know, you don't talk to the media. And the reason is all of these details need to be kept sequestered, because if not, you ruin the integrity of the information you receive, because you don't know whether that person received it from the media or whether they received it from evidence. So that is an integral part of the FBI and of our entire ethic within the job. So that's the reason why it remains so secretive. Back to your other question, your first question was concerning, can you repeat the first one?
Sure. That's where, when Gabby was there, and I think she was by herself, has anybody talked about where she was? Because that was one of the things. Brian went to the hotel and they said, yes, she was here, but we can't tell you what she was doing. And Tyler, I texted you to ask her that question about when Brian went home.
Are you sure?
I was gonna say, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
that. The one thing she avoided, answering is like, they're both deceased. Why isn't the investigation closed? She avoided that answer.
Well, she alluded to it taking forever to write that police report. But I really want to hear the Walmart thing too.
Do you have your headphones, honey? Can you go listen to today and find that part?
Terry, thank you for becoming a YouTube member, joining the Feller fam. You joined Michelle and Donna S today as a part of the Feller fam. So excited to have you with us.
So Keith's going to try and figure out where that part was and let us know.
Thank you, Keith. Coming in clutch for us.
Where he asked, it was near the beginning, because I had texted you, Tyler, and I said, ask her where Brian went during that period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can look at when you texted me that.
Oh yeah.
Did I ask it immediately after?
Yes. Well, there was one question in between there because Grandma Patty came on. So it was right after Grandma Patty, because Grandma Patty came on and she asked her question, and then you asked.
One of my favorite parts of the whole day was whenever Jennifer Coffindaffer said, "Okay, Grandma Patty," or whatever.
I love that too. I just love Grandma Patty. But 5:32. It was at 5:32, so it was around 32 minutes in.
So there's a lot of other. Every once in a while, there's a nugget, like on the Harmony case yesterday. Who gets that notebook, and then all that evidence will get released back to the proper owner.
What's the timeline of an FBI report in a case like this, especially since Brian was never named a suspect?
Great question, Tyler. So let's look at this. Let's look at just
this, Mickey, to your question is the best answer I felt like she had to that about why it hasn't been released.
Well, I know the report.
The Moab report took 4 months and was about 75 hours of time.
For 75 minutes of footage. Yeah.
Yeah. Involving 6 people in a very specific situation. The FBI investigation involves dozens of people, involves dozens of instances, involves subpoenas and grand jury testimony, and so many intricacies of this case, lab reports. I could go on.
Kylan and Crystal.
Right. And there is, based on Kylan and Crystal, there's somebody and from case into even the just, they were be some.
Well, still, and if they're connected, I want to know about that. And if they're not,
it's right.
I think I'm open to that as well.
Question was,
if it's okay, can I shift?
Mickey,
I really would have. I thought they had probable cause to charge him, just based on where he was, where she was, about that the police incident, and how come they didn't charge him right away with that?
Apparently, they had probable cause to charge her.
Right. But I'm saying not for the domestic violence, but for her death.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. They went after the credit card thing, right, instead. And then they thought they had eyes on him and didn't. That's what happened there.
Yeah, but I still felt like if they would have charged him for her death, maybe we would have got more answers.
I mean, we all wish. I mean, I agree a total.
Somebody said 31 minutes, 10 seconds. Mathia said 31 minutes, 10 seconds.
Okay, here we go.
Clean out his storage to save.
Ooh,
I must have started right after that.
Good job, Mathia.
right? Do you have any more details about that?
No, not specifically, other than I think last time I was speaking with you, Tyler, I was concerned about the reasoning behind that and the fact.
I don't mean to keep interrupting her, but I just want to say I also was really impressed that she remembered all of the little details from our previous conversation, which was 2 months ago and 1,500 interviews ago.
Absolutely.
I was like really blown away by that.
That the two answers they gave for why he flew home really don't hold any water for me. To say he needed to clean out his storage to save some money, especially now that we know he had $20,000 in savings and they had been planning this trip to all of a sudden need to go home. And then I think the second excuse was also there was something he needed in the locker. What could you possibly need in a locker that you would have to put in a suitcase that you couldn't buy at Walmart?
Yeah.
I mean,
what was she alluding to that I wasn't catching up on when she said that?
I think that's what made me think, was she talking about the gun? And maybe that's again why she's talking about the caliber.
Then my response back to you on that was and is, if somebody's on here, I've never flown with a gun. And if you are on here and you've flown with a gun, my response back to Kim was, I don't think that he would have been able to get that gun through security. What part of the country am I from? Security. Without us knowing about it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that he would have been able to travel with a gun and not anybody know about it, unless you can put it in your checked baggage and it doesn't matter, which I don't think's the case, unless you know how to wrap it up in a way inside of your suitcase, which I've done with not a gun, but liquid or something. Put it in my shoe and surround it with socks.
Unless that's something that they're keeping quiet from us again, because they really haven't, like you and I were also saying, they really haven't even acknowledged, law enforcement has not acknowledged that he went home. Only Bertolino has confirmed that he went home. Law enforcement has not said anything about his trip home. So there may be something they're keeping quiet about the entire trip home.
She said her two big mysteries are, and I'm so glad that we were able to pick them out without her saying them up front. It makes me feel good that we're doing a good job on this channel. The two big mysteries were, what was the caliber of the gun used? And she used particular words in his suicide, and what happened on that trip, right? No, the other thing was involving Gabby's mom.
Right. That she did mention that. She thought that was very strange.
Which are all things we've been on top of since the get-go.
About the calls to her mom, they said that she was texting a mom. We don't know which mom she's talking about. Remember, she has 3 moms if she was living with Brian's mom. She could have named her mom on her text phone as well.
I agree with you, Mickey. That's
maybe why they took a break right there. Maybe that's why they took a break.
And I said that last night. Like, you can see, her mom said she didn't even know about them getting pulled over. Okay, so there you go. There's that. Second off, all the people who are saying people bring guns in their luggage, not without registering it first, is my point. Annette, thank you so much for that super sticker.
I think to bring a gun, it has to be in a locked case.
That's what Ann ERJ says. Guns can go in planes if they're registered. Oh, I lost her comment. She said if they're registered, okay, here we go. Checked and unloaded. She said, I used to work for TSA. So if they're registered, if they're in their luggage, and if they're unloaded. So
that's my point, though. Like, it would have been on record otherwise, is what I'm saying.
But do you think they would tell us?
I don't think they would tell us. I think that was something the federal would know, not a police, not the police. It would be probably FBI that would know about that.
And I totally agree with you, Mickey. If I mean, I've shared so much of my family history now with all of you, but my son and his ex-girlfriend were she was like a child to me. They were together for a very long time, but they also fought, not physically, but they argued a lot. And I could see her calling me if something like that had happened, and she would say, your son is getting us in trouble, and I could see Roberta then saying, you need to come home and take a time out.
I said that last night, and then Dawn Caesar says Roberta does not like Gabby, which has been noted on a couple of occasions, and so that is not very likely.
I've seen the opposite, though. I've seen, and I've seen that. What was it that? Well, the documentary said that they treated her like a daughter. The documentary.
Her own parents said it. Yeah.
Yeah, her parents said it too. So I think there's maybe some controversy about that question, whereas people think since Chris and Roberta didn't act upset that they didn't care for Gabby, but I think ultimately, there's a whole difference in caring for somebody when everything is going well, and then when it's your son, I think there was a different dynamic there. I don't necessarily know that meant that they didn't care for her when everything was good.
Yeah.
And even if they complained about her, she didn't do this or didn't do that, doesn't mean you don't care about a person. I complain if my children don't do something, like, why aren't you listening to me? Why can't you just do what I asked you to do? And then you could go do the rest of your day, So it doesn't mean I don't love my kids just because I complain. So if there was conflict, it's normal in a household to have some kind of conflict. So yeah, I'm kind of like, well, maybe they had a better relationship than some of us think. I'm not going to say it's as strong as Brian and his parents, of course.
Right.
And Gabby's parents felt like they treated her well. And I know my son's girlfriend said, yeah, like when he doesn't want to listen to me, I sometimes threat that I'm going to text you or call you. That's my son's girlfriend saying it,
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with any. I don't know if I agree with any of that you guys are saying, because I do think that there was a wedge, because I just think the whole family has some mental health issues. So I don't think it was like happy-go-lucky family, like, personally. But I could see a control type situation where Gabby felt like she had to sort of report back things that were happening. That scenario makes the most sense to me.
Especially, go ahead. I'm sorry.
We know that she was on the phone on a phone call because we can see it in the body cam footage. I wonder if I could pull it up and like zoom in enough to even see like a little name on the screen.
Oh, wow. I think that's a good point, Tyler. She could have also almost not, and this is not, I want to be clear, I'm not saying this derogatorily toward Gabby, but it could be almost like telling Roberta, your son is out of control. He needs to come home, or, we need a break or something like that. It might not have been a compassionate call. It may have been, get him home, we need a break or something like that.
Well, I mean, that brings up the question of like, we know that there was some medicine issues, right, with him, and he mentioned it to the police officer. And then we also know that, I mean, I don't know if she would even go that far, but she might have been out of control. She might have been saying, hey, I'm having a lot of issues, because I think she was used to being, I don't think she's the one who says, if she was in a long-term abusive relationship, I don't think that she's the one who says, hey, I have an issue, he's out of control. I think she's afraid to say that.
No, that's a good point too. Yeah. Kathy Stevens did some research for us, and she said, you may transport unloaded firearms in a locked, hard-sided container as checked baggage. Declare the firearm and or ammunition to the airline at the ticket counter, and that's from the TSA website. Thank you, Kathy.
Again, my point goes back to, it has to be checked, and
I just don't know if they tell us. But I agree with you.
Like, I think if you tried to sneak a gun through the airport, that's one of the dumbest things somebody could do.
Oh yeah, I don't think he would have snuck it, but there was some discussion, and this is speculation. Some sources said he had a concealed carry permit. If he did and checked the gun, I don't think he would have tried to sneak it. But I don't necessarily know if the law enforcement knew that he had checked a gun, that they would tell us, or that would be public knowledge.
Uh-huh.
No, I don't think all states you're required to have a concealed weapon carry.
No, you're not, but you are on when you're flying on an airplane.
Okay. Well,
You're
that could
required
make
to
sense.
disclose. And if you're flying internationally, which I've done several times, you have to disclose if you have peanuts in your bag or anything in your bag. Like, they
Well,
take it
I
very
was bad
seriously.
about that. I brought things back that were food and said I didn't have anything. So,
And they probably
oops.
took it.
No, they didn't catch it.
Well, I know people who've lost their global entry for literally a bag of beef jerky.
Oh, jeez.
They take it very serious.
Well, beef jerky is
wasn't-
serious stuff. Beef jerky's good.
Beef jerky is. So I got to the part where she's on her phone, but I can't make out what's on the screen.
That's too bad. I would like to see, like, does it say mom? Does it say a name? I mean, they sensed it was with her mom. So I'm thinking it's someone that she would have said mom to.
Yeah.
Stepmom, mom, or his mom.
Or her friend Rose, and she said it was mom because she thought they would make her get off the phone if it was.
True. That's a good point. I'm way back at the beginning, I said this and it made a lot of people upset, but it's when we had like 15,000 people on the channel. And I think now everybody,
Different days, wasn't it? We'd come on, there'd be like 15,000 people on every live stream.
yes. And I think at that point in time, a lot of people didn't know that I was not being judgmental when I said this, but now enough of our fellow fam knows my story. But I honestly think that he could have gone home for a medication check. I really do. I think Gabby could have called his mom and said he's out of control, or we're out of control, or we're having issues. And his mom could have said he's been off his medication, because Brian said he was off his medication. He said he was trying natural remedies. Remember?
Yep.
That's what he told the police officer. So I think he could have, his mother, if Roberta is as strong of a woman as I am, I would have said, you need to get on a plane, come home, see your doctor, and get back on your medication if y'all are going to finish this trip. That would have been my statement unequivocally.
That's a very good point, though. If he is off of medication that he's supposed to be on, I would think she might have said, Brian just said he's off of his medication. He really needs it. This is not working. Yeah, so maybe without accusing him of being out of control, but in a way where, yeah, he's off of medication. I don't think he's doing well.
Right. If my son was on a trip like this with his girlfriend back 2 years ago, and she called me and told me they had gotten pulled over for a domestic violence incident and that he was not taking his medication, I would have said, you get on a plane, come home, and get back on your medication, or I'm coming to drag you home.
I know that Jennifer tweeted a couple of weeks ago and said that there'll be an opportunity for the Laundrie family to share their side of the story through movie deals and make money off of it. And so probably the reason, and possibly the contents of the notebook, because they know what's in the notebook. And so some of the reason why they haven't made any public statement could be because, not fully, but could be because there's going to be higher incentivization on a further down the line movie deal if they release literally nothing, and that all of us would watch it. We would, if it was at the theater, we'd go stand in line. You know what I mean?
You know who told us that about 3 months ago?
Yeah, I know. Which people don't agree with.
Well, like I always said to everyone, I mean, listen with your own, mind, and everybody here should be treated the same. Everybody's views should be taken in consideration when you do an investigation, which is what we're doing, is we're investigating these cases and seeing what we could come up with, or if we could help in any way. Then you have to see all viewpoints. You can't be focused on just what you feel. Sometimes it could be, you could be sick of what you're feeling, but it doesn't mean there can't be another thing out there. So unless you hear all viewpoints and take what you want out of it and discard what you don't, you can't do an investigation. I mean, look at what the police do. They listen to every single lead and then discard what's not necessary. And I think, even if they don't agree with one of the callers here, or even with me or whoever calls, that we should really listen and be outside of our box, outside of our comfort zone, because we are talking about serious stuff and we shouldn't just jump on each other for it.
Yeah, critical thinking. I mean, it's hard sometimes to critically think, especially if it goes against your biases. And that's why we have, cognitive dissonance and, all of those different things. But yeah, who just said, let's see, where was it? Somebody said Jersey Jack. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Don Caesar had stated a while back that the Laundries had gone to New York and had a book and interview deal with a New York agent. That's what I was talking about. That was several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that was brought up by him. That's right. I forgot about that. I know we talked about them getting maybe a movie deal or a book deal, but I forgot that they actually said that they went to New York and talked about it.
I mean, we don't have a source with that, and we don't have a source that they went to New York.
No, we don't
either.
No, we don't. That's why I probably didn't even think about who said it or how we heard it.
We have a source that they went to Orlando and had a meeting. That's it.
Yeah.
In a lawyer's office building. So that could have been about anything. But the fact that it is a likely scenario, right? Why, if you could make $1 million or $2 million or $3 million off of something that tells your story and you get to put it out there in a way that pins you in the best light, why would you not do that? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we can make a few $1 million off of this and we get to tell our story how we want. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I think also that would, if they do truly believe Brian did it, like parents or whatever, for whatever reason, and we don't really know if he did or not, they're not disclosing that. I mean, most likely he has, but we still hear there was another DNA set, so, but whatever. But if he wasn't guilty and they want to tell their story because they had a lot of bad media on them, they want to tell his story. They don't want him to, his death just to be like, oh, he was just some bad person here and now he's dead,
DK,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your super sticker. I want to read you guys the tweet. So this was, it means a lot, DK, to have your support, your super sticker. You say thank you on that. Thank you to you. Here's Jennifer Coffendaffer's tweet from January 4th. She had said, here's the latest news regarding the notebook. A court won't be able to rule on the rightful owner until the contents are revealed. The notebook won't be released until the termination of the FBI probe. Okay, so then people start asking her questions. And then she says this, I believe rights will be sold and movies, books, and TV documentaries will be made when this occurs. We will have more insight about the notebook. That insight, however, may not be accurate. Mm-hmm. If the Laundries aren't charged, nothing precludes them or Bertolino from profiting. Then she says later, based on my experience, they will have their side of the story laid out in one of these venues. So I agree with her.
I do too.
Yeah, I think they'll have it out there.
And then highlight this part. That's pretty much what I was trying to say. May not be accurate.
Because it will be their side of, or their interpretation of what was in the notebook.
That's what I said. They're going to put it in their best light.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And remember also, like when somebody views something, it could be 5 of us. And let's say we saw a car accident. And you could get 5 different opinions what happened in that car accident.
A good example of that is Marissa today made a comment, and I don't know if she's here tonight, but if she is, hopefully she might call in and talk to you about this. But Marissa made a comment that when she went back and started really listening to the police stop footage, that Brian wasn't actually saying in her interpretation of what it could have been that he didn't have a phone. He was saying that that's why he was worried about her taking off, because He said, if she does, I won't have a phone. I won't have keys, or I don't have a phone. If she does, I don't have a phone. I don't have keys, like talking about what could have happened. So I thought that was an interesting take, because it kind of goes hand in hand with what you're saying, Mickey, is we've all been hearing it as him saying, I don't have a phone.
I've taught it both ways on this channel. I've taught it that way, Marissa's saying, and I've taught it the other way because I feel like it's inconclusive. And I think because I think he was purposely trying to be as elusive as possible with his statements. Hence, right in that same conversation, him saying he didn't have money. And like Jennifer Coffindaffer pointed out, he had $20,000 in his bank account.
Yeah. And you know, I've also heard that one of the phones was Wi-Fi only and that didn't have a SIM card.
I've heard that too, but I don't have a source.
I don't either. Purely. And somebody was asking, you know, if Brian was diagnosed with something. No, I want to be really clear. That was just me saying that was me.
He says he has anxiety.
Right.
Disorder.
But I was speculating that it could be something more significant based on what I've experienced in my own, like when I was saying he might have had to go home and get medication. Some medications can't be filled from a distance.
Okay, here's just, if it's just an anxiety, I think he could have stopped at any place and got medication, got that done. They'd call his doctor's office, evaluate him, and so he wouldn't have had to go home for that. If
Not
that's
for
why he
anxiety.
went home.
But
yeah,
some of the more extensive antipsychotics, and again, I'm not saying he was, I don't have any, I'm just talking from experience, is some of the extensive antipsychotics, mood stabilizers. A doctor, if it's been a while, will want to see you either in person or on a, you know, remote call. But I mean, it could have been, that's just speculation. That's just me speculating on what I feel like it could have been, what could have happened.
What do you think's in the notebook?
I think that there are musings of what was going on in his head. I think there was, if you looked at their old Pinterest before it was taken down, or his Pinterest, there was a lot of pictures of LSD, of, you know, microdosing. My nose keeps twitching like I'm Tabitha on Bewitched. But sorry, dating myself age-wise here. But anyway, on the Pinterest, there was a lot of pictures of LSD and little comments about, we're about to go for a ride, things that, you know, if you know what they mean. And so I think the notebook was some of what his musings were in mind expanding moments. That's what I think it's going to be. And I think it's going to show the degradation of his mind, because I know what it seems like, you know, was going on in his head to me, and this is my speculation. I think it's going to show a degradation of his mind, and I think something really went wrong. If he indeed did it, and everything seems to point that he did, I think it was something went very wrong, probably chemically induced of some kind. That's my pure speculation.
Deshay, thank you for your super chat. You said, is there a way that I could compile Don's calls to get in touch with him? I want my husband to hear his take on everything. Well, Deshay, that's very difficult for me to do because it would take me like 40 hours probably to do that. But what you could do is go through my videos, and he was probably on 3 of the last 6 videos, and skim through them. And then when you see his name pop up, he's on there for quite a bit. He was on for over an hour yesterday because that report came out, and then we had access to it. And then he was on, I think, one other time this week or last week, and we had a pretty in-depth conversation. But thank you for thinking about that. And I do think that a lot of people find what Don says valuable. A lot of people don't like it. I try to create an opportunity for people on this channel to talk about all kinds of different things. And so if I agree or disagree, people are still welcome as long as they're respectful and are not doing things that are against the Bible. Jason, thank you so much for becoming a part of the Feller fam today. You joined Michelle and Donna and Terry. We are so happy to have you as a part of the Feller fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Rebecca Heck reminded us, and I remember this now, and Tyler, I think I shared this with you, old friends of Brian supposedly stated that when they would do LSD, he would choke her. Remember we saw, now again, that's, we don't have any proof, but remember we saw those posts of friends of his on Instagram that were actually on Brian's post that claimed, I want to be really careful with my language, claimed to be friends of his that said when they would do LSD, he would choke her.
I thought that those things were like fake that were on there, that it wasn't really his friends.
I'll tell you
I don't know.
Let me tell you guys this little story, because I would have been thinking like, oh, what they're saying makes no sense. But I'll tell you this from my perspective. Whenever the pandemic hit, and Brian and Gabby are sort of in this age range too, maybe a little bit earlier, but they're in this age range. When the pandemic hit, my neighbor is a high school student, and the schools were closed down, and he was having a bonfire in his backyard with a bunch of high school students. And he kept calling me saying, come over here. I want you to talk to us. Come over here. And when I went over there, it was a group of high school students, like 20 or more high school students. And they were all scared to death over, this was before there were any stimulus package, we had no idea what was going to happen with the economy, of their parents losing their jobs, of them not being able to do the basketball team, like go down the list. And what happens with all these young people is they got 1000% isolated from their normal lives, unfortunately, and they were scared, and they weren't even allowed to be doing things like that bonfire in the backyard. That stuff came to an end very abruptly. And what used to be students drinking a couple of beers on the weekend, which I don't agree with or approve of, just so you know, but what used to be students drinking a couple beers on the weekend led to them smoking marijuana instead of once every 6 or 12 months, smoking it regularly, which then led to them, believe it or not, the kids from incredible homes with parents that are pastors, even that are great godly pastors, not the kind that make their kids go crazy kind of pastors. Or I don't want to talk about that at all. I don't even want to get into that, because I'm going to say something that I don't mean and people are going to take it the wrong way. Assume the best out of what I'm saying whenever I say that. That's all I'll say. I mean the best, assume the best. Great godly families of doctors and, incredible families in our community. Those kids got access to LSD and we're using drugs. It became an issue in our little town. And I would have never thought that was possible, but I have experienced it firsthand. And so I think, to me, it's not that big of a stretch to say Brian already sort of feels like he would be open to having experiences like that, would be doing LSD to begin with, first off. Second off, his artwork at one point on Pinterest was literally of LSD tablets.
Right.
So I just say all that to say.
Yeah, he did do. I mean, the drawings were kind of far off and seemed like it would be LSD stuff from, what I seen. It seemed like it referred to it. But then the only reason I say I'm not so sure is because Gabby said we have no problems with, maybe it was drinking.
Yeah, they don't drink. They didn't drink. Yeah.
You don't drink. Yeah. It wasn't anything about the drugs. So,
well, and then, there's certain, and we can look at it from a moral or an ethical or, religious perspective. But if you don't have that foundation, you're going to be looking at it from more of just an ethical perspective. There's a lot of people that think that the natural drugs like shrooms, ayahuasca, those kind of things that can have some pretty harsh side effects are natural. And, they read up on microdosing, which, has been used in PTSD, things like that. So if they're not looking at it from a moral perspective in terms of where it's wrong, according to their moral code, then, they may think some of these more natural drugs aren't bad. And I'm not judging any of that. I mean,
the ayahuasca is like now becoming mainstream because there's a bunch of really famous people that young people look up to that are talking about it and going and using it. Joe Rogan's talking about it, and he's having guests on that have gone to something in like Costa Rica where they go use ayahuasca. So, and some people don't even know what that is. It's like a very extreme mushroom type thing that induces people for multiple days.
Supposed to open the third eye. So people who are into that new age kind of thing really tend to gravitate toward ayahuasca and DMT. but they can have, if you've seen some of the movies where people are doing ayahuasca, they can have some really strange experiences. People that are doing ayahuasca, it's, pretty. There's a movie called Wanderers, that has Jennifer Aniston, that was a very good example of how bad it can go. So it can go
That
bad.
still have visions, even like in nightmares, and wake up. Sometimes they don't even continue doing it, and some people's bodies it takes a long time to get rid of those visions. Sometimes when they have like what they would call bad trip,
which leads to the point, like, if there's a toxicology report attached to any of this, it would answer that, right?
True.
It's probably too late on a toxicology report with Brian, and who knows what remains that there even is. But with Gabby,
but it could have just been him, not her.
Could have been just him.
I don't know. I mean, it's all pure speculation, but I guess in my head, I always try to figure out what could make someone be so horrible. And I guess my mind wants it to be something extraordinary, not just someone being bad.
Yeah, I think it's the easier way of making logic out of it. That's why we want to think that there was, it could have been the drugs that made him feel that way, or it could have been a mental issue. I mean, we don't want to think people are horrible.
Well, I don't think people are horrible. Even when people are horrible, I don't think they're horrible.
Right.
I actually like people that are not good sometimes, because it's not actually them in the way that I view the world. But there was definitely some dark, demonic things that were expressed through his artwork. And the way that people express themselves, like, that's really who they are. Like, if you think about it, like, musicians write songs because that's the best way they know how to express themselves. People like me write books because that's how I know how to express myself. Some people draw pictures because that's how they know how to express themselves, or make videos because that's how they know how to express themselves. I think he had some dark spiritual undertones.
No, I'm not laughing at you. I totally agree. Someone just made a comment in chat, and I'm not sure if it's meant to be serious or.
I didn't think like people are bad. I feel like people are in need of help. But, it's just, I guess I had the wrong words out there. So I apologize if anyone took that the wrong way.
No, I understood. I understood what you meant too. And I think, Tyler, I think you said it really, really well. I think, anybody who has these kind of things going on has a big, well, I think, Tyler, didn't you one time say everything's a spiritual problem?
I said everything is spiritual. Every single thing is spiritual. Not a problem, but yeah, everything is spiritual.
So.
And I stand by that, and I couldn't agree with it more, because it's just, to me, it's just is the truth. So the contents of the notebook are going to be a game changer. They're going to be really important for us to figure out. And whenever we think about what happened at that reserve, at the Carlton Reserve, I do remember some gunshots possibly being reported there, but somebody said more than one gunshot. Then we had that guy who called in, who had went there and sort of, like, remember, I accidentally put my phone number on the screen. I had to go delete it out of the video, but he had texted me some pictures of.
Oh, that's right.
Of, like, he went there the day after the park was open, and he had all the pictures of all the little evidence things, and he was like, and there was that rope that was there, and so we're all like, what did he do? Did he, do this to himself? By the way, to Shay, you said thank you, Tyler, with a couple of emojis. Thank you for your super chat and your support of my channel.
A question I had wasn't it like a hunting area that is used sometimes where Gabby was found? So that's why they could have found gunshots to the trees and stuff like that. Isn't it a hunting area as well?
I think it's a reserve where it's like the opposite of hunting.
Okay, so there couldn't have been hunters or anything like that.
I think it exists to protect the wildlife there.
Okay. Well, I know the reserve for Florida. I'm talking about where Gabby was found, where they found her.
Oh, okay, yeah. I don't know about that.
Okay, because I thought that was it.
I do know that, there was some discussion of whether or not there were markings on the trees of guns, but I think they were said that no, that they were just distance markers, but I can't recall for sure.
I thought someone that knows the area went into the area. I thought I saw a report on that, and he was saying, well, if you're in this area, and you were found dead or whatever, not buried, first this type of animal would find you. A bear could scent you from so many miles away. The birds would have been, how they could find people sometimes when it first happens and stuff like that. And I thought mentioned something about, yeah, there's marks in the trees, but most likely it was because of, hunting. So that's where I came up with, well, was there, marks in the trees from a gun that was used there, or was it hunters, or could they even hunt in that area at all? I don't know.
I've seen multiple different answers in the chat. A couple of different people are saying you can't hunt at all in national parks, but this was the distributed area. And then somebody was saying, yeah, part of where she was found was outside of the area where it was technically the national park. So there could be. So I'm not sure of the definitive answer on that.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know either. But I was just reminding myself of some of Brian Laundrie's artwork, and it's pretty graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go through some of it. I don't know what the game Hotline Miami is, but that's a picture that he drew of some phone number that called a video game called Hotline Miami. And I just think it's weird. And then here's another artwork. Frankenstein shackled.
It's a shame. He was actually a really good artist.
Yeah, I mean, it's creepy as all get out, but yeah, he was good.
Yeah. That one to me looks like, I had a wild period in my 20s and I'm old. So that one to me looks like something you would see in your head when things were not going well on a psychedelic adventure.
Yeah, I don't put that stuff in my head. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't even want to look at it.
Sorry, Kim, I can't relate to that one.
Hey, thank you guys for calling in. I appreciate your insights to all of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, fellow fam. I know there's probably a million people waiting. Good night. Good night, Mickey.
Good night. Good night. Thank you.
Hey, Heidi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
So what are your thoughts about everything?
Oh, I have so many thoughts. Today was really a wake-up call, listening to, what's her name, Jennifer, in the interview. You did an excellent interview, by the way, Tyler. That was awesome. But just, how the cops, yesterday I didn't like the cops very much. Today, just hearing her, kind of explain, the time difference between, it's just we perceive things so much differently when we look back. Hindsight is 20/20, and this has been very personal for me.
I mean, she does make a great point that they went above and beyond, because most of the time that they're not able to spend, as they were spending literally 75 minutes on a traffic stop. I've been pulled over before. It does not take 75 minutes, even if I've gotten a ticket or something like that. And she said they were constantly getting called out to other places. So she makes a great point that they really went above and beyond to try to make sure that everything was being heard. And when you read that report, the 103-page report, it says in there, and people who watched that Jennifer Commandaffer video today were making comments, and it's like clearly they didn't read the report or watch the full video, but it says in that report that the police officers knew that Brian was the long-term predominant aggressor, but in that situation, Gabby was the aggressor based off of what she said, and it put them in a really bad position not to be able to make a decision that really needed to be made, because they had to sort of side with what was being said in that moment, which led them to not doing anything. By the way, Tammy, thank you so much for your super sticker. It says, "You are amazing." I just want you to know, Tammy, you are amazing. And thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let me just tell you, I just want to say thank you to everybody who gives a like, you share the video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've joined the Feller fam, you send a super chat. Thank you to all of you who do that. Thank you to Tammy for sending that super sticker. And shout out to Jason, Michelle, Donna, and Terry, who all joined the Feller fam today. Let's give it up for them in the chat section.
Yay.
So what do you think about that? The police now knowing that and I know people earlier were saying, well, of course she's going to say that she is a law enforcement officer, but I think she would have been honest with us if she felt like they had.
Yeah, you gotta play it by the book, I guess, and unfortunately you can't document what you feel. You have to document what you see, in a lot of situations. I mean, you can, you know what I'm saying. You have to document facts, and it did seem like after she explained it, because I didn't like Officer Pratt yesterday at all. But today, after she talked, I'm kind of like thinking, well, maybe that's why he was acting so kind of goofy, was that he's trying to turn the situation around so as to protect Gabby, because he kind of knew, so it just gets so twisted.
Yeah, and I think he had a difficult challenge too, of he was in charge of training that other officer. So he's trying to train the other officer, make the other officer feel empowered, while at the same time trying to lead him a little bit, but not overstep. And then, and he even says in one of the lines in there, he was like, yeah, I was kind of leading him with what to do, and I'm glad that he made that choice. But if he would have made a different choice, I would have backed him on it as well.
Well, and I mean, when I'm watching it, I want Gabby to be, let go. I wouldn't want her to have to go to jail or anything. So I think that's probably what they, deep down inside wanted, was her to, domestic violence is just crazy like that. And sometimes domestic violence can go both ways. I mean, I look at me and my husband way, way back when we started dating. I don't know how we've made it this far, but we used to, I mean, there were times where we would fight and physically attack each other. And, I don't know how we've gotten through it all, but it could have been a situation where it was both, it was just a very passionate, fight, and I don't know, go back and forth on this, and it's crazy. And then the other thing I'm wondering is, last night, I don't know why, I just kept thinking, is it possible that Brian did not, kill Gabby, but that there's some mysterious thing, kind of, I don't know, that maybe he went back, and maybe there's this whole thing that he told his parents, and his parents are like, oh, they're going to get you, this and that. And maybe he just felt no way out, or, maybe somebody else is involved in the,
I don't know.
Gabby.
According to Jennifer Coffindaffer, she doesn't think so. According to Don Caesar, he thinks so. So I don't know. I again have stuck sort of to the plot line of what I think happened, which was, my opinion, Brian Laundrie was responsible for the death of Gabby Petito, and then later responsible for his own death. I don't think there's anything nefarious other than that. But I appreciate you calling in today, Heidi.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
Tyler, you're going to make my heart skip a beat. I have never, ever texted, called in. I don't even understand social media. I've had 3 kids helping me. Okay.
Well, hey, you're live on this channel. There'll only be about 10,000 viewers by tomorrow. So.
Well, and I want to make sure that I get 4 books from you, but I want them signed. I don't want to buy them from Amazon. I want to get them signed. So how do I go about that first before I tell you my thoughts?
Well, you can order them on my website, but it's not a good strategy. So to get them signed,
well, I'll just order them, because you know what? I think that you speak so much.
Yeah.
You have really touched my heart and brought me back to a place that I need to be.
Well, praise God.
And I never understood the story in Luke about the brothers.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. And for the first time ever, I understand that. I mean, it's just like,
great.
I have told so many people about you. I can't even tell you how many people I've told about you. So let me give you my thoughts, okay? LSD is not always a choice. Okay, when I was younger, I live in Washington State. I live in between the biggest cities. I live between Seattle, Spokane, Tri-Cities, and Yakima. So that's where all the drugs, I mean, I'm right in the middle, right? All the drugs are here. So we get some pretty harsh drugs here, right? So I can remember, and I'm not proud of this, I'm just going to be really upfront with you, okay? I can remember I grew up in the foster care system and all kinds of trouble. I can remember smoking a joint with somebody, having like 3 tokes of it, and just like being out of my mind. I mean, like it was the worst thing ever, and it was LSD. Okay.
Oh.
We know Gabby and Brian smoke pot. We know that. We know that for an absolute fact. Okay. What people don't realize, you can take a joint. Let's say, okay, so they've been traveling for a while. So they probably ran out of pot. I mean, realistically, they probably ran out of pot. They've been on the road for a long time, right?
Well, they were in states where it was legal, so
it doesn't matter. You don't have to have legal. You don't have to have legal. Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, literally, they were on the border of Colorado. They could have just drove and bought some.
Right. But a lot of people get it just from people they know. So let's say they're in the bar. Okay. And I really think that Brian did, not only Gabby, but the 2 girls. Because I think what happened is they went to buy marijuana. They went to buy pot.
Yeah.
And so they all hooked up together. When people smoke pot, the biggest time to smoke pot is at nighttime. That's the way people that smoke pot, they need that to sleep. They think they need that to sleep. Okay. So what if they're in Moab and they have no marijuana?
Well, I'll say this. The PI, who's the private investigator who's been looking into the Kylan and Crystal case, says there was no drugs involved at all at this point in Kylan and Crystal's life, that it was something that they were involved in the past, but since they had been married, there was no drug usage or anything with them.
Well, that's good to know, because that was my thought. Then maybe I'll cancel everything. I keep such an open mind. But my mind was literally like, okay, if they're wanting to buy pot, because I mean, back in my youth, that was a part of my life, my young youth. Okay. And I'll never forget that. I had no idea I was getting into LSD. It was just a marijuana joint that I bought for $2 that was laced. And I had no idea. It was older people bought it and had no idea. And Tyler, it wasn't normal.
Sometimes I don't know why I've heard these stories where people intentionally force LSD on other people.
Exactly.
It's
and that's
like
what happened.
It's like I heard a story of a young man who was like drinking beer, like chugging it or whatever, and somebody, when he wasn't looking, just popped it in his mouth because his mouth was open.
Exactly.
And he had to go to the hospital. So I'm just saying that I can validate what you're saying by saying that. I'm not saying they're doing it or not. I have literally no idea.
Well, no, but they said we know that Gabby and Brian were doing pot. I mean, that was a given. So you can only drive so far without running out of pot. You have to get pot from somewhere. So my thought was that he might have got it. They might have got it from the 2 girls, or they might have gone, to the bar, met with them, and just like, let's go smoke a doobie. You know what I mean? And then it went all wrong.
It could be. That could be the case. Other than the private investigator said that Kylan and Crystal were not involved in drugs at all at this time. So that's the only.
Well, and I hope not. I mean, it's just, LSD, it's not fair. I mean, I was a young girl. I was only 13 or 14 and somebody laced me with it. So it was the same as dropping acid. Basically, you're dropping acid when you do that. So what we smoked that we thought was pot was actually LSD. And I don't even want to tell you what happened to us that day. It's just wrong.
I'm not up on the drug scene. I made decisions to stay away from it, and I'm really glad that I did.
Well, I chose to dabble in a little bit of anything and everything in my youth, which Tyler, I have worked with so many kids and worked in the school districts and taken in foster care, respite care. my life gave me a lot of information to help other people. So what I went through was a really, really good thing.
Yeah, God, I mean, it's not a gift because it would have been better had you not gone through it, but God
Right.
always uses and can always use the bad things that we've gone through for sure.
Amen. Also the firearm and going, firearm online, and going through the airports and stuff like that. I carry a concealed weapon at all times because I'm a single mom. I have a bunch of kids and foster kids, and I'm out in the middle of the country. Okay. And we spend a lot of time shooting. We're country folk. Okay. When Chris was talking about blocking his nose and doing that stuff, I'm going to raise my hand when I'm out there shooting. I'm a bad person and I'm moral wrong, right? It's just where we're at in the world, right? But anyways, you have to carry not only a concealed weapons, because I do have my concealed weapons and I've gone through a lot of training, but now you have to carry in state. Different states require different things for you to bring a firearm in. So if I'm flying to Florida, the regulations with my firearm leaving here and going there is going to be different than my firearm going to Salt Lake City. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So people don't realize. So I've had to take classes because I do fly and I do have a firearm on me. So I've had to take classes that gives me interstate access to go into.
Yeah, I'm familiar with all of that. I'm just saying, like, I was trying to make the point that you can't just bring a gun on a plane without going through
Exactly. And it's not easy. That's what I'm saying. What they want is absolutely ridiculous.
So I don't think Brian would have done that. Now, he might have been watching videos on the internet of how to sneak a gun into your luggage. I'm sure it's possible to do that. I've snuck hot sauce in my luggage.
You know what? Even trying to right now, they have such good security. Say that you have one of those smoking vapor smokes. Just getting one of those through luggage right now because it started so many fires. The vapor smokes have started tons of different fires on planes.
You know what's interesting? I was on an airplane today and they said, if you have a vape, be sure to unhook your battery. And I'm like, that's the first time I've heard them say that.
Exactly. Because it's causing fires on the planes. And so they are really scrutinized everything. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's guns. It doesn't matter if it's cigarettes. It doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they are really
it depends
going.
On the
Say what?
I think it depends on the airport though, because I've flown in like over 100 airports probably, and some airports I go through are very strict. Other airports I go through don't care at all. I've gone through. I took my little cousin Lily on a trip.
Hawaiian's way easy. I know. Yeah.
I took my little cousin Lily on a trip, and there were only 4 people on the whole plane, and they didn't even check anything in luggage. She had a bag of chips and was eating them. And I was like, you can't take those chips. And then they let her. I mean, so I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because normally you can't take water. You can't take anything.
I'm like, you can't.
And I love to hear you talk about Lily. Because someday I'm waiting because God is going to put the most beautiful woman in your life. You're going to be healthy and you're going to have your own children. And listening to you talk about Lily just so excites me because Tyler, the gifts that you have, I can't even tell you. I have not been more excited. The church that I was in ended up closed down. So I've not been to church in the last 7 or 8 years. So I've not been spiritually fed. And somehow I don't have your red, yellow, blue, green flags or anything. But the very first day that you ever got on, I don't know social media, so I didn't know how to do all this stuff. I have been following you from the second you got on. And I'm here to tell you, I find myself praying every single night. Okay. At the end of your broadcast, whether you pray or you don't pray, I find myself in deep prayer. You've brought so much back to me, and you've made me think about baptism.
Yes.
The way you explain the brothers. Yeah. I never understood that.
Yeah.
I mean, you broke it down in simple English.
Yep.
And There's
Well, I made
not
that
very
video
many
for people
people.
in another country whose English is not their first language. So you're right. I
Well,
was trying to
you know
use
what? I've
simple
gone
people
before
English.
people that their first language is English, and I don't have a flipping clue about what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, you, my dear, you relate to us. You have a way of breaking it down and bringing Christ to us. The only concern that I have, because I'm way older than you are, way older than you are. My concern, because I just like went through another surgery, and I think it was like my 17th or 18th surgery.
Oh my goodness.
My only concern is you dragging down your physical health, trying to continue this road. You have to remember you have so much to give that if you have to pull back and we don't hear from you for 4 or 5 days, we are going to miss you like crazy. But it's about Tyler getting strong again.
Yeah. Well,
and that's
my
the
job
way I
right now.
feel.
YouTube's my job right now, and it's pretty much the only job that I can do. So, but I can't wait to be a dad, and I do take care of Lily quite a bit. I had a conversation with her on the phone a little bit earlier tonight because she wanted to go to the high school basketball game, and she's only in 7th grade. And
Right.
I said, okay, I'll take you. And she lives like 3.5 hours from me. And then I was like, I'll be a little bit late when I get there, because she was like, Mom's not taking me to this basketball game. I was
But
like,
see,
all right,
Tyler, that's what scares me. I'm just gonna tell you, because I'm way older than you, so I can be a mom. So I can flat say it. I am way older than you. You might be taking on a little tiny too much with your health.
Well, I'm pretty good about knowing my boundaries. When I've taken a few nights off, and I'm only doing probably like 4 nights a week right now. So,
well, I don't want to lose you. Yeah. You have brought me a connection that I have not had in the last 6 or 7 years. And can I tell you something real quick?
Sure.
You've been talking about baptizing. I've been praying and praying and praying. Okay, so I got involved in basically kind of a cult-like atmosphere. I lived out in the country. I mean, you got to realize I'm rural. I'm very rural.
I grew up in a town of 244 people.
There you go.
There's more cows than people.
Exactly. So. Right. And you get 2 turkeys and you name one Christmas and one's Thanksgiving. I mean, that's just the way you do it. But that's just kind of like where I'm at. And I worry about your health. I seriously worry about your health. It is like, I just want to make sure that you're going to be there for us, like to follow through and go down that road, you know? And I just worry that I don't want you to collapse, and I don't want your health to be a great problem.
Great team of doctors, and I'm supposed to go to the Mayo Clinic soon, but I'm involved with some other treatment as well, and I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow, actually. So
can I ask, just curious, because my daughter has POTS syndrome and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's got to do with the heart.
I have POTS syndrome.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Do you know how rare that is?
And about 5 other or 6 other things. Yeah.
And my daughter has other things as well.
Yeah, because POTS usually has underlying systematic conditions, of which I have about 5. So
exactly. And when my daughter was born, we did not leave Children's Hospital for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I stayed with her the whole time. I never left her. So, I mean, keeping her alive has been humongous. And believe it or not, she's going to school to be a children's life specialist at Children's Hospital for little kids.
That's great.
Because she remembers those dogs coming in and seeing her. She remembers those people coming in and bringing her teddy bears. I mean, people don't realize, people hear me. Whoever's out there, hear me. It is so important to reach out and be there for our children.
That's true. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for calling in. I hope you have a great evening.
I will have a great evening. But Tyler, let me ask you, do you think that, what is your thoughts? Do you, I really want to know your thoughts. Do you think that Brian did her and the other 2? What are your thoughts?
I'm on the fence. I could go either way on it.
Why? You've been on the fence too long. When are you going to make a decision and jump, dude?
Well, when I have more evidence.
That's not fair. You're asking all of us to make assumptions, and then you're not making one. That's not
I'm
fair.
allowing people to help me.
Okay, well, my assumption, I will go with this, and we'll see. I think that he did her and the other two, and I think it has to do with dope.
Well, we'll find out. Thank you for
All
calling
right.
in, Michelle.
Thanks, Tyler. Take care.
Bye. She did bring up a good point about my health. And I think sometimes people forget that I am in the middle of a really bad health battle. I know I talk about it sometimes, but I am definitely fighting a big battle right now. And so I do appreciate you guys being there for me. It's not been easy. Hey, Sandra, how are you?
Good, good. I only have one thing to say.
Okay.
And I want to like make it into a banner to put it on top of everything. Okay, not just this. And this is hardly original. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Okay? That's law school 101. You can never get past that. So your PI is free to say, I have no evidence of drug use. But he's not free to say there was no drug use. It's logically invalid and should be disregarded.
Unless he has access to a toxicology report.
That doesn't mean anything. They can deal drugs without taking them. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
But it
I
works
don't
both
ever
ways.
want
So
to
then we
hear
can-
anyone say that there was not so-and-so involved in a situation. I just want to hear them say, I don't know of anything like that. The law enforcement hasn't come up with anything like that. And that's it. That's the end of what you can really responsibly say. You must never jump from, I don't know, to it didn't happen.
Then we can never jump from I don't know to it did happen either.
Yeah.
So then we're just stuck on I
No,
don't know.
from I don't know to it did happen. Then
No, we're just stuck on I don't know then, and we can't talk about anything.
if you know, when you do have evidence, then you talk about it. You just can't state that negative. It's essential, and it undergirds everything in terms of judicial adjudication of wrongdoing.
So do you think that Kylan and Crystal were dealing drugs?
Doesn't matter.
What matters?
Well, I don't think if you're going to talk about investigating the murders of the two girls is what you want to talk about, then
Somebody
it
got
does
mad at me
matter.
for saying girls, so I say women now.
I
But
don't
yes.
care. I'm talking about what you asked me. So please, let's not dwell on these little.
That's fine, but I have to deal with it in the comments, so that's why I said that.
But I said it.
Well,
So let me deal with it. So let's talk about whether or not he killed those two girls. And in that case, it matters whether drugs were involved. The lady that was on a minute ago suggested these two kids were doing dope the whole time, and they probably ran out, and they probably trying to go to the bar to hook up. And that sounds very practical and realistic based. It could have happened. And they could have met those two women that married each other. They could have met them along the path of their search for some weed. None of that is gainsaid by running a tox report on their bodies.
I mean, we'll find out if Gabby
That's
has
all
LSD
I'm
in her
saying.
system.
That's all I want to say. I don't appreciate hearing that someone says something did not happen. There were no drugs involved. It's just he could be misquoted. Someone more than likely misquoted him.
I heard him say it.
Oh, he said it that way? Well,
Yeah.
then he was logically incorrect. He's a sloppy thinker. Okay? I'm not being personal. I don't care who he is, and I don't care what the subject is. You just can't say that.
What's your connection to the case?
Nothing. Just
What?
watching it. Just watching.
Just into it. Are you an
I'm not
attorney?
into it. I'm just watching. And it aggravates me when I hear people use those kind of constructions because
Hey.
it transcends anything about the case, anything else. It's a practice you should never follow. You're so conscious about not saying girls. Well, try to raise your consciousness of not saying so and so never happened.
Have you been a part of my channel very long? Because Sandra, listen to me.
Can I answer?
No, I can tell you something since you've just sat here and yelled at me for the past 3 minutes. Listen, I am the most conscious YouTuber that does these streamings of any other YouTuber out there. I play both sides of the story every single time. And there is nothing wrong with us looking at a perspective that could have happened. We always say this, is it possible and is it plausible? There's absolutely nothing wrong with Kim and whoever else getting on here and saying those things. We're not saying any of that stuff happened. All we're doing is trying to make sense of what happened. And by the way, I muted you because you're yelling at me and I don't appreciate it. And I've been very kind to you and every other caller. Now I'm going to unmute you and I would appreciate a respectful response.
I started watching when he was missing. So that's the answer to your question.
Well, I've done a great job being very respectful, and my level of consciousness has been raised much higher than pretty much every other propaganda YouTuber that's out there covering this case.
Well, you're lovely, and that's why I watch you. And you do a good job. I didn't say you don't.
Are you an attorney?
No, I'm a true crime author.
A true crime author?
Yes, I am.
So that's sort of your connection to the case then, or your interest in the case?
I'm not connected to this case at all. Just
have you ever read the book The Giver? They always say this in there. Precise language, please. Just know that whenever I say things, I'm not using precise language. When I say, "What are you connected to this case?" What I mean is, why has it piqued your interest? Okay, now we know because you're a true crime author. You're interested.
Okay, well, it piqued my interest when he was still missing.
Mine too.
Okay, because it was news. And then I was gravitated to your channel because you do such a good job. And you are so conscientious.
Thank you.
So I didn't find it necessary to call in and fawn over you and tell you, wow, you're doing great.
Well, I'm not a words of affirmation guy.
The only time it was necessary for me to bring my wisdom to the table was when anyone says, well, there was no drugs involved. You can't say that, okay? You can say the PI found no evidence of drug involvement. That's a valid statement, and we can proceed. But just listen to the two scenarios I just introduced as being plausible. They ran out of dope. They went looking for some. They ran into the girls in the course of that. Therefore, drugs was involved. Okay? And it has nothing to do with whether or not anybody was getting high. But the question was drugs involved? You can't say they were not. You can say, I don't know of anything. We have not uncovered any such evidence. But when you step over that logic, it's just logic. It's indifferent. But that's what goes on in a court of law. You don't ever make those kind of statements in a court of law because they're logically invalid.
Okay, not going to disagree with you, Sandra. Hey, I really appreciate you.
Do a great job.
Thank you.
I'll be on Discovery Plus tomorrow night on Scream, The True Story.
Okay, thank you, Sandra.
Okay, good night.
Okay. All right, well, that was a call from Sandra. We also had a super chat from Joan, just showing some love. She said, Tyler, just because you don't even have to announce this. Thank you, Joan. I wanted to announce it because I really appreciate all of the super chats and every time that somebody wants to bless me in that way. So thank you for the blessing. I'll receive it as encouragement. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that was really explosive. And I wasn't expecting it to be explosive. I also noticed this. I noticed this little comment from Stargazer46 and 2 and said, "Let your YouTube ego go, Tyler." I don't know what you're talking about. My YouTube ego. Feel free to call in and have a conversation with me about that, because I don't feel like I have a YouTube ego. In fact, my whole mission and what I'm doing here, it expands well beyond YouTube. And this is a part of the mission that I think I'm on. And so I don't think I have a YouTube ego. So I'm going to assume the best out of that statement and just say that I needed to just let her say her piece. All right. That's what I'm going to say on that. So, hey, she's going to be on Discovery Plus tomorrow. So if you have Discovery Plus, you can watch her show. I don't have Discovery Plus. Jeremy says, "Yo, Tyler, you were very rude." Well, I don't think I was rude at all. And as far as I'm concerned, it's my channel, and I'm really kind. I try to do really, really kind things for people on here. And if you guys know the amount of generosity that's flowed through this channel, if you know how much the other people, the culture that we've created on this group, pray for each other, are there for each other, become friends with one another, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And here's what happens. Here's the problem in America, and here's the problem with our culture. If I say I'm a Christian, if I say I'm a pastor, if I say I'm a preacher, if I say I believe in the Bible, then it means that I have to be weak and I can't defend myself. That's absolutely wrong. Jesus, Woodster says, "Move on, you're digging a hole." No, I don't think I'm moving on. I really want to talk about this. Jesus went into the temple and flipped tables and got a whip out, because there's times when he had to stand up for things that went against the church, really, is what was happening. He said, "You've turned my house into a den of thieves. This is supposed to be a place of prayer for all of the nations." And so I feel like in that situation, I handled it very professionally. And just because I didn't cower down like a weak dog, hadn't been fed in 3 weeks, and I stood my ground on my own territory, then that's not rude. And 98% of people think I handled it right. So there's that. In other news, the Oxford school shooting suspect pleaded not guilty. I thought that was interesting. How could somebody plead not guilty? And by the way, I think Sandra was fine. I think she handled it great. She was okay with me talking to her that way, because that's how she was talking to me. Angela, thank you so much for that super sticker. Thank you for sharing your support. I was curious about this situation. How could, when everybody knows that he's guilty, plead not guilty? The plea was entered through his lawyer, who said Crumbley would stand muted to the charges and request a not guilty plea to be entered on his behalf. Standing muted is the same effect as pleading not guilty. Crumbley, who's being charged as an adult and remains locked up with no bond, made a brief video appearance in Oakland court, where a judge scheduled a status conference 6 days from now on January 19th. The arraignment was held via Zoom. The defense had previously asked a lower court judge to transfer the teenager to a youth detention center. Though the judge denied the request, Crumbley's lawyers cited federal statute that says juveniles held in adult jails, even those charged as adults, cannot be within sight or sound of adults. That's not possible at Oakland jail, they argued. So I don't understand how you can plead not guilty to something that everyone knows you're guilty of. So Shannon says, "You're doing a great job, Tyler." Thank you, Shannon. Thank you for your support. Means a lot to have some of you guys stepping up and just say, "Yeah, we're showing support for you." Kim D, thank you for your super sticker. K Mac, thank you for your super sticker. Patty Davila, big hugs, Tyler. Thank you, Patty. I wanted to say too, I don't think you guys heard me. She was like, I was going to try to get on here and use kind words to fluff you up or whatever. I'm like, that's okay. I'm not a words of affirmation kind of a guy anyways. So that's not, there's like the 5 love languages that people have. Words of affirmation is not one of them for me. So I'm not saying I don't appreciate the kind words from people. I do appreciate them, but it's not one of the things that like I need or is a great way to really feed me. Like, people have different things they look to as their source. That's not one of them for me. Just saying. Thank you, Patty, for your super chat. Deborah says, Tyler, you handled that very well. You were not rude at all. God is good all the time. Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Deborah, for that super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Joe Mary says, you're very cool under pressure. God don't stop today. Yay! That's so great. Once you read it, let me know what you think. And I would love it if you left a review on Amazon, because I was trying to get to 50 reviews on Amazon and I had like 33. And I know we've probably had more than 50 reviews posted, but for some reason, some of those reviews that get posted, they take them down. But thank you so much for getting Don't Stop. I really think it's going to be a key that unlocks some doors for you. Carol, thank you for your super sticker. Thank you for your support. It feels good to have your support. Thank you, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tyler, you are awesome. Thank you for being true to the Lord. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are awesome. You guys are blowing me away tonight. You guys just did a steady stream there of encouragement. Amy Height says, we have your number 6. Maybe pled, not guilty to get a psych defense. That's kind of what that's the only other option that I think that you could do, right? Like if you're pleading not guilty to something you're clearly guilty for, I would think that the only way that you could do that, right, is if you're trying to get like some kind of a psych defense. And then maybe even go through it in a way that says, he was crying out for help and the school failed him. And look, there's 2 $100 million lawsuits against the school because he was literally crying out for help. He wrote it on his homework. The teacher took a picture of it. So Kathy says, you are awesome, Tyler, but don't get a big ego because I said this. LOL. Lol. Thank you, Kathy. I see that there's some of you sending your membership. I don't see them on my screen. I have to look at them from my iPad. So let me see those. Mathia says, thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Mathia. Anita says, that made him plead not guilty because the defense wants to show he's mentally ill. Yeah, that's sort of what I was thinking. And that's what Amy said too. So, by the way, Anita's the one who sent me a card before Christmas, and I did not get it till today. So that's what I'm saying to you guys. Like some of you maybe have ordered a book. I sent it out and it's taking forever. I don't know. But I only had 4 books returned to me. And for some reason, some people are not getting their books. And I'm having people email me about it. And if they email me about it, I'm trying to resolve it as quick as possible. Latresa says, I got your back, Tyler. Wear that armor. Hugs. Thank you, Latresa. You're always a breath of fresh air. You're a light in this little group that we have here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This person's clearly a little bit behind. Oh, they're a little bit behind. Hey, I wanted we're going to do a quick commercial break and I have some other things I want to talk about. But if you go to tylerflow.com/merch, expires today, free standard shipping. And so we have our brand new Miracles gear. And I also, for those of you who are part of our Faith Friday, I wasn't going to release this until tomorrow, but Cindy encouraged me to do a Faith Friday gear. And so I created our Faith Friday gear. It has a little circle Faith Friday thing, and then it has this design on the back. So I created that, and I wasn't going to release it until tomorrow, but I wanted you guys to be able to pick it up before the free shipping ended. So I went ahead and put that up available today for those of you who are part of our Faith Friday community. And I thought you might want to support that, and you can get it. The shipping $7.99 usually, I think. So you'll save $7.99. There's several different products with that design on it, including a hat, including this little bear. Man, I should have got the hat. I went ahead and ordered mine earlier, and I did not order that hat. Hoodies, several different designs. I put this one up there because Marissa likes glitter. I thought, all right, maybe if that's kind of glittery. So it's the only glitter thing I think I could do. So there's some things for you guys to think about. Hey, Debbie, how are you?
Hey, I remembered I wanted to show this to you. And I remembered it after I had already punched to come on live. And I was like, oh, I gotta hurry. And I mean, I just got on. But I have to show you, I'm so excited. I got this for my grandson.
That's so awesome.
16.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, he's such a good boy. And so I got him this hoodie, and I can't wait. He was
It's
over
really
today.
it's really good quality, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Let me see what the brand is on it. It's Jersey, Jerzee.
Yeah. It feels pretty comfortable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really soft on the inside. And of course, it's got the little pockets.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a long distance runner. What do you call that?
Cross country.
Cross country. And but he came over today and helped me. He and his little brother came over and helped me trim bushes. I got this new house and I don't know what to do with it. So he came over today and trimmed. And I was so tempted to give him his birthday present. I gave him the book for Christmas.
Do you think he read it?
I asked him about it. And he said, no. I said, I understand. He calls me honey. And so he said, honey, I got so many of these books like this. And he said, I'm just not reading right now. And I said, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're 15, 16, you're trying to learn how to drive, which we got to do today. We got to drive around and that was a lot of fun. But he's so excited.
I've let my 16-year-old little cousin drive me around before. It's a scary experience.
It's petrifying.
Yeah. That's why I was laughing. I was like, oh, I've been in that boat before.
Oh, it's petrifying.
I always tell people, though, who are apprehensive to read it, I said, just read the first and last chapter when you get a chance.
Okay. I'll try that. And one thing I was thinking about today after he left was to just call him one night and say, hey, do you have 15 minutes? I'd like for you to read that first chapter to me.
Yeah.
And maybe try that, because I told him, I understand. I remember, when I was teaching this age group, even though they loved to read when they were younger, it's almost like there's this stagnant time where they stop reading.
Well, TikTok and YouTube's a lot more interesting than reading.
Yeah. Well, my grandsons do none of that.
Yeah.
So, but I think just everything else is, happening in his life.
Seabridge says, Feller fam forever. Yay. Thank you, Seabridge, for that super chat. And then let's see, we have a Melissa sends a super sticker. Thank you, Melissa, for that super sticker. Heidi sends a super sticker. Sherry sends a super sticker. I'm feeling the love after the little spat that we just went through. Like, I'm feeling the love now.
Good. Well, that's good. And we support you 100%. You know that. But it is difficult, especially when you're loping along. It's just been a real nice day. You've got to speak with Coffendorfer, and then we've got to discuss all that she had to say. And then it kind of jolted you, I think, a little bit. And I understand what she was saying to you, and I know you do too. It's just,
I don't disagree with what she was saying. I maybe disagree with how she was saying what she was saying.
Right. And sometimes people don't realize, I will tell you this, my brother, he's a yeller. He is a yeller. He yells everything at you. Mm-hmm. And so he's deaf. And he doesn't know he's doing it. And so he does this yelling thing, and we're all going.
Oh, man, that's like trying to watch TV with my uncle before he passed away. He would turn it up. Like, I will listen. If I watch TV, it would be on like 5 or 6. Like, I have sharply tuned ears. I keep things very quiet. His would be like 92, except for he didn't have a TV that was like that. His was like turn the dials and like
it probably was all.
It was like every time I went over there, I would literally put pillows over my ears and I could still hear it perfectly. Like, okay, what are we watching today?
can still hear it.
One time we watched a silent film. That's the best movie I ever watched with him. And that's not a joke. I was like, finally, it's not blurry and loud.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
I'm glad you showed me that hoodie. Take a picture once he has it. When are you giving it to him?
His birthday is February the 8th. No, 7th. His is the 7th. My daughter's the 8th. And so it's coming up, and he's so excited. He's going to get his driver's license. He told me today, he said, honey, I need to practice parallel parking. I said, what? You haven't practiced that yet? No, we've got to get that in. We didn't get to do it today, but I'm going to take him, and I taught him how to drive backwards because you need to know how to drive backwards. And we went to an empty parking lot, and we went around backwards, that entire parking lot, just going around and around, just to kind of get him used to it, because he had it all backwards. But he's now, every time he pulls in backwards. It's so cute. I should have said something today. I was thinking it. I should have said something because I think he was trying to impress me, and I just missed the opportunity. But anyway, well, I just want to tell you that I watched the Jennifer Koppendorfer interview today. I watched part of it live, and I even showed Tucker, my grandson. I said, see this? This is the guy that wrote the book that I gave you. And he goes, oh. And that's when we, got into the conversation about have you read it or whatnot. But that's a side note. What I really want to tell you is your ability to give interviews is very impressive. And I've watched a lot of interviews in my lifetime. And I am, because I was an English teacher, I'm a critic of the word. And I'm telling you, your word choice was superb. The way that you handled it, the questions that you asked were spot on. I was so impressed with your word choice and the way that you handled that so professionally. And if I didn't mean that, I wouldn't say it.
Well, I appreciate it. I always feel really nervous giving interviews, and I get a lot of feedback from people that say, like, you're really great at giving interviews. And I do not feel comfortable giving interviews at all.
Who would? Yeah. Who would? Look who you're giving an interview to. She is phenomenal. That woman is so, so good.
Oh, I feel like she remembers everything I said to her the last time I talked to her 3 months ago.
And she did. That's exactly what happened. But
she was like, don't you remember from last time we talked? I'm like,
and you went, wee.
Brain fog, COVID.
Well, yeah, she is phenomenal, but she's still such a human, and she's so down to earth.
Well, she has the love of the Lord in her.
That's exactly right. And you can see it shine through her. And but I did want you to know that because I didn't take note of the fact that I thought to myself, and someone said it earlier, but when I was watching, I was thinking, golly, these are really, really good questions and good wording of the questions. So you've got a little talent there, buddy.
Thank you. I went from being interviewed yesterday to interviewing today.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh, goodness. Well, you have yourself a good night. Know you're loved very much. And we do appreciate you very much. All of us. We talk about you behind your back.
I hope positive.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Debbie, for calling in.
All right. See ya.
Mary says, having a son with a mental illness, I don't want the world to automatically assume bad things. It scares me he will be judged. He's doing great now, but will forever have illness. Mary, I actually think that our culture is getting better about this. Like, I think that the judgment culture behind mental illness is getting a lot better because you have a lot of celebrities and influencers that are coming out and talking about some of their struggles with mental illness. And it's been really helpful to destigmatize it. So I hope. Darlene sends a super sticker. Thank you, Darlene, for your support. Steven says, I think Sandra respected your response, and I do understand important. Me too. I think she was very respectful to my response. And I don't think she was trying to be the way that she was. I think that I don't think she came across in the way that she was trying to come across. I think that this was a topic that really bothers her, and I understand it. It's a topic that bothers a lot of people. So I think it's a topic that really bothers her, and I understand that. And I felt like she understood my response and was respectful towards how I responded to her with that. So yeah, you're right about that. And you said, I'm so proud that you didn't just cut her off like so many YouTubers would have. Yeah, I didn't want to cut her off. I have cut people off before, but usually if I cut somebody off, it's because they are doing things that are against the Bible. That's pretty much the only reason I cut people off. John, you say, Tyler, thank you for checking on me, brother. I'm here for you and the Feller fam. God bless all of you. Hey, John, good to hear from you. Yeah, I was worried about you because I was used to hearing from you a little more regularly, and so we were missing you. And I know you always look forward to Faith Friday, so I wanted to make sure I got in touch with you and just remind you we have Faith Friday coming up again tomorrow. Thank you for your super chat. Thank you for a Cash App that you sent me earlier as well. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hey, Tyler. How you doing, man?
I'm all right.
I apologize. I'm feeling a little under the weather, so just
That's
bear
okay.
with
I
me.
am too. So, and I was last night as well. So,
can I ask a question about the previous interview? I came in halfway through it, and so I may not have fully understood what was talked about. So, if I am wrong on this, just bear with me here. I came in and she was talking about how they were lesbians, and how that was kind of a sin. Was that what was talked about here?
No, I don't talk about that on this channel really that much either. That topic, because I think that's a conversation that needs to happen more personally between people that have relationships than make blanket statements publicly that lead to division. Division's never the right answer, even if I believe strongly about a bajillion different topics, which I do. I'm a very opinionated political person personally. People don't know that because I don't. It's just like my value in other people. It's not dictated by what they believe politically or whatever. So I don't talk about it personally because there's other people that would judge me based on what I believe or don't believe or whatever. But no, we weren't talking about that issue. We were talking about evidence surrounding either drug usage or no drug usage or drug sales or no drug sales.
Okay. I thought I remember her saying it about it and everything. I have my opinion about, lesbian or homosexuality.
Well, I don't want to talk about it on this channel.
And I will. I respect your channel.
If you want to have a conversation privately about that, I would be glad to, but
that would be very interesting to have that. Like that would actually.
Yeah, I would say I'll have that conversation with you privately if you're struggling with wrestling through your own personal journey. If it's just because you're curious about what I believe, I don't know. I don't really want to have that conversation.
Well, I know what I like and what I don't, so it wouldn't be my own personal struggle. It'd just be interesting to hear what you have to say about it here. I guess what I was just I'm kind of done. That was all. Like it seemed like when I came in, it was a hot conversation that you were having, and I was trying to pick up on what was so hot between you two, and
I just felt like I needed to give a strong response. I think it's okay to stand our ground.
You stand your ground constantly. Can I take you? Can I?
You stand your ground constantly. That's true. There's some things I have very strong perimeters around, and I think I think people need to see, and I think that's part of the reason why we talked about it before. There's so many women that are drawn to this channel. I think women and men too, but men for some reason don't like seeing it. I guess I don't know. I think people need to see a strong Christian man that can also be kind and empathetic, but also stand their ground when necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How are you single?
Well, I was in a very serious relationship until recently. So
Can I tell a story that's way off topic, but I've been really wanting to talk to you about it?
sure.
What happened?
As long as it's like not too long.
I'll very simplify it here. We had an argument about Travis Scott and his symbolism of like his concerts, right? I had a dream that same night that we talked. First off, you asked me to, maybe be a lot more subtle to people around here, like to your community, and I have. I truly have been just nice to people because, what you said. But I had a dream that night when you asked me about Travis Scott and his symbolisms of the devil and everything. And I had a dream of a person that, and I have to talk to you about this. I had a dream that it was a Christian person who owned a Halloween park. And he was just saying to me, this is all symbolism. Like, you walk through my Halloween park, and it doesn't represent the devil. And it made me think of you, and I don't know how to respond to that to you because it was a dream I had where he was like, all these symbols of the devil is just what we go through. The devil doesn't show himself like, maybe I'm not explaining this rightly here, but it's directly related to what you said about symbolism with Travis Scott. And then I had this dream of a guy who had a Halloween kind of theme where it was just symbols of the devil. And it was just, this is just men's fear.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent the devil.
I don't totally agree with that because if it looks like the devil, I don't want any part of it.
But if somebody throws a Halloween house, are they representing the devil?
I mean, I wouldn't go to it. And I don't know if I would say they're representing the devil, but I would say potentially that they're being used by the devil. They're being influenced by the devil without even knowing it.
So you're saying every Halloween haunted house is the devil's playground?
I wouldn't say playground, but I'll send you some videos because I am not in Halloween mode because it's January.
I get it.
So I just don't. I know
I've been sitting on this for 3 months.
People are going to read into what I'm saying, and I'm not going to say how I'm going to say what I'm trying to say right.
Yeah.
And so I just don't want to get into another tiff like that with people in the comment section. So there's some great videos online from some of my friends that address this issue. I personally would not attend a haunted house. I'll say that. Like, personally, I would not attend a Halloween or a haunted house. Personally.
Okay.
Personally, I would not attend it. So that's
because
my
I had that dream that night. We had that conversation, and I was like, and then somebody said, "These are just symbols. The devil is not going to come to you in the form. He's not going to show himself like the devil. He's going to show himself in a different way."
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'll send you some videos that explain more of it. But thanks for calling in, Chris.
Thanks, Tyler.
Hey, Latrice, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Whew. I'm really not that great, but I'll be all right.
Well, come on tomorrow, and we're going to pray for you. We're going to believe during our Faith Friday that the power of the Lord's going to hit you, and everything
Awesome.
that's not right is going to turn around right. So make sure you call in tomorrow. Oh, there it is.
I'm like, is he looking?
I wasn't looking because I was trying to get the next story up on the screen.
I've got 2. They came in.
Yay!
Yay.
Are you super excited to wear it?
I am. I really am. So,
Does it
yeah.
feel soft?
Yes. I can't wait.
Great. Thank you.
It's still got the tag on it.
Yeah.
Yes. Very, very, very soft. So, and I got it on the very last day.
Yeah,
I waited too long almost. So, confession time. I don't know what the argument was about, but I'll guarantee you I'm going back to read it and watch it.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny that you don't know what it's about and you send me a super chat saying, I got your back. I love having friends like that, Latricia. I have a friend like that named Tony. I'm like, I don't think it matters what I do. Tony's going to have my back no matter what. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't even have to know about it. He's going to be like,
I've never found anything wrong with what you said or done. So whatever it was, I'm with you, whatever it is.
Well, I'm positive that I've done some things that are not correct, but nobody's perfect.
No way. Not me either. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you this shirt and let you know that I have no idea, but I got it.
Thank you.
Got 2 of them.
Thank you, Latricia, for calling in. Thank you for showing us.
Hey, you're welcome. Have a good night. Hi, y'all. Bye, y'all.
Okay. I want to talk about this case. This girl, I don't know much about her. I've seen her on YouTube like over the years quite a bit. She passed away and was trending news today, but people were shocked on social media when it was announced that Adalia Rose Williams passed away. Adalia was an internet sensation and social media personality who amassed a large following on YouTube. Question is, who was this Adalia Rose Williams? She was diagnosed with this thing called Hutchinson-Gilford-Progeria syndrome. It's a genetic condition that affects less than 500 children around the world, and she got it as a baby. That condition, which Adalia shared with her followers, causes rapid aging and hair loss. So through her platform on YouTube, she became a social media star where she chronicled her battle with the Progeria syndrome. In addition to the rapid aging that the Hutchinson-Gilford-Progeria syndrome causes, she had difficulty with her voice and with her joints. People are asking, well, how did she pass away? Her passing was announced on her official Instagram page, and the family released a statement on Facebook. Through the Facebook post, the family said that on January 12th of 2022 at 7 p.m., Adalia Rose lost her life. She was set free from this world. They continued, she came into it quietly and left quietly, but her life was far from it. She touched millions of people and left the biggest imprint in everyone that she knew. She's no longer in pain, is now dancing to all the music she loves. They stated, I really wish this wasn't our reality, but unfortunately it is. We want to say thank you to everyone that loved and supported her. Thank you to all of her doctors and nurses that worked for years to keep her healthy. The family would now like to mourn this huge loss in private. So that's a good thing that they said that. Remember to honor the family's privacy in it. Just 8 hours before she was declared dead, she made a video where she captioned the clip saying, it was of a growing tree. And she said, no, just know, why is a family like this? Y'all are so weird. Her last YouTube video was in December of 2021. So let's see if I can find her last video that she had commented or made. This was her last video. Baby Luca. I'm going to mute it or turn it down. So it's just her meeting baby Luca. So you can go watch that video if you're interested in it. So remember to pray for that family. Honor, they want to have privacy. Honor their privacy. This was another case. A California man is on the run Thursday after allegedly killing his mother and church pastor grandfather. How could you do that? Ramad Park is being sought out by the Fresno County Sheriff's Department after discovering the bodies of Melba Elbdaziz and Mel Alb disease, 58 and 90 respectively, at their home in Fresno 1 week ago. He may be transient. He's known to the city of Fresno and LA County, specifically the community of Santa Monica, Van Nuys, and Sherman's Oaks. I've been to all of those places. Quite a bit, actually. The sheriff's office said in a statement describing Park, he's 5'10", 185 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair. I can't believe he would kill his grandfather, who's his pastor, who's 90 years old, and his father. Investigators responded to their home on January 6th after receiving a call about an injured person, only to find a deceased man in the front yard and a deceased woman inside the home. They were later identified as Park's family members. The two lived together. She was providing medical care for her aging father, who had served for 70 years as a church pastor. During the course of the investigation, detectives determined that Ramad Park was responsible for killing these two people who were his mother and grandfather. Police are offering a $3,000 award to lead to the arrest. Wow. Okay. Well, that's sad. I'm starting to not feel well. You guys can probably tell. So I'm going to get off of here in just a second. I want to remind you, you can go to tylerfellow.com. If you want to read the full report from the Moab report, just go to tylerfellow.com/report. I literally put the entire Moab report on there. It's 102 pages long. So some people are going to be really interested in reading it. That's great. I want you to. Other people don't care, but it's on there. Also, don't forget, today is the last day of free shipping. We have a brand new Faith Friday gear that came out. And if you haven't picked up your Miracles design, if you're interested in that. And then, as always, we have Don't Stop gear and we have Feller Fam gear. I don't know where the Feller Fam gear is at, but it's on there somewhere. We have Feller Fam gear. You can also give. This is a really great way to give on tylerfellow.com/give. And a lot of people, especially those who call this your faith community, we're trying to find a way that you could give on a recurring basis. And tylerfellow.com/give allows you to give as frequently as you want. You can set up weekly. A couple people do weekly. Some people do every other week. Some people do monthly. But it's a great way for you if you want to participate in our faith community in that way. And don't forget, if you're a part of this and you've been on our streams, tomorrow's an important day. We have Faith Friday, and we don't talk about any of these topics, but instead what we do is we pray for one another. And sometimes I share some devotionals or share some videos and stuff like that. And so I really want you to come and be a part of that Faith Friday. This is an invitation to you to do that. Okay, I'm going to pray over you now. A real quick prayer because I'm losing my voice. So, Father, I just bless everyone that's on the stream right now. I bless them with your power, with your grace. In Jesus' name, amen. And I saw Debbie pop up.
Yeah. Kim made mention that we should pray for you tonight, and so I thought I would do that.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Dearest Father, we just come to you with humble hearts, and we just ask for healing for our brother Tyler. He has so many great things to give to this world, and the devil is hindering him from doing all that he needs to do. And I ask that you just give him wisdom to know when to shut down and when to keep going. I know he knows that, and I know that you can put that in his heart as well when he's not real sure. Maybe he's more sure than we know, but we just ask that you cover him and protect him, put a hedge of protection around him, because the greater the gifts, the greater Satan wants to get at him. And Lord, we do not want that. So I ask for healing for him, and I ask for wisdom for him. And thank you so much, Lord, for giving this man this vision that is helping so many people. And it's through your son's holy name that we pray. Amen.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Debbie, for calling, and thank you for the prayer. Bless you.
Well, you can also thank Kim for bringing that up. And I went, you're right. Let's do it.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Have a great evening.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.